McLaren's performance at the Chinese Grand Prix was a shock to many fans. While Lando and Oscar have looked fast this season, they've been firmly ranked as the third fastest team, ahead of Mercedes and Alonso but behind Ferrari. It took some very clever strategy and a fortunate safety car or two, but Norris managed to cross the line in a very impressive second place for a well-earned second podium of the season. That isn't good enough for Lando Norris and the McLaren team though. They want race wins, and they claim they aren't far away from making that happen. Today, I'm going to check out the upgrades McLaren have coming and how they're targeting a first ever F1 race win for Lando Norris this year. So, don't go anywhere. Before the Chinese Grand Prix, McLaren had been trying their hardest to downplay their chances. Lando may have done an absolute blinder of a lap in the wet during the sprint qualifying, but the reality was they were probably in a battle just to claim a spot in the top 5, not lap a second faster than the rest of the field. Qualifying 4th and 5th ahead of both Ferraris for Sunday's Grand Prix was a great result, but for the Grand Prix itself, the Scuderia's better tyre management was going to make fighting them hard. Oscar Piastri's low-risk two-stop strategy, which let him finish 8th, was much more representative of the team's true pace than Lando's podium was. But if it hadn't been for Lance Stroll's stupidity, Oscar could have done even better. The Australian had enjoyed a decent start to the 56-lap encounter, initially holding onto his starting position of P5 off the line, but later was caught up in the concertina effect when the race was restarted following a safety car phase midway through proceedings. As Fernando Alonso locked up into the hairpin as the drivers prepared for the action to get underway again, George Russell had to brake behind to avoid him, which then forced Piastri to do the same behind Russell. However, Lance Stroll wasn't paying attention to what was happening ahead of him, didn't react to the braking, and ploughed under Daniel Ricciardo's car, catapulting him into the back of Oscar's McLaren. Asked after the race just how bad the damage had been on his car, Piastri replied, "Significant. I don't know how much time it was worth, but looking at the back of the car after the race, it was pretty destroyed. I think it explains quite a lot of the deficit. I think in the first part of the race it was looking okay. I was lacking a little bit of pace, but not too bad, and then after the restart it was just very much literal damage limitation." His diffuser was completely caved in on one side. The diffuser is a performance-critical part that speeds up the airflow under the car, increasing the downforce produced by the floor. Basically, if you damage your diffuser, your downforce goes off a cliff and you lose a load of grip. Oscar did well just to hold position until Alonso appeared on much fresher tyres. Before the race weekend began, Norris predicted the Shanghai track would not suit McLaren's car, especially its long, constant radius turns 1, 2 and 13. After the race, he was surprised to finish the race second, but it's a nice surprise of course. It's difficult to say. We've been struggling a little bit, I'm sure everyone does, with certain things throughout the whole season which have always been limiting us. It probably felt similar-ish to Australia. In Australia, I felt comfortable and the car felt pretty good as well. It was just much better in the Grand Prix. Things came alive, the conditions cooled down, the wind calmed down, and both of these things, I think, played into our hands a little bit more. McLaren are still in need of upgrades to move forward though. Those around them have made changes already this season while they've waited. That's going to change in Miami though. While most teams normally wait until the European leg of the season to bring upgrades, with 6 Grand Prix before the sport heads to Italy, the grid seems to have unanimously decided that they'll just ship new parts out instead of waiting. Ferrari have made massive changes, as have Alpine and Aston Martin. Mercedes had some new parts and Red Bull have as well. Mercedes are bringing another huge package to Miami actually, but more on that in a minute. Speaking about McLaren's Plan package, McLaren team principal Andrea Stella said the package will add pure performance as well as being designed to improve how the car takes care of the tyres, with rear degradation a key differentiator at this weekend's Shanghai event. These upgrades will also include some attempts to improve tyre degradation, so we'll try and see if we can take a step forward, Stella explained. Considering the amount of improvement we should do to get closer to some of our competitors, I would say that we need more than one round of upgrades in terms of helping the behavior of the tyres. Ferrari have been especially good on their tyres this season, a complete flip from last season when it held them back. For McLaren to start battling Ferrari at every race, improving tyre degradation is a must, so this will be a great step forward. If you can keep your tyres healthy for as long as possible, then you're free to just keep strapping on performance to your car. If you can't control the wear of your tyres, then every little bit of performance you add on will mean you just destroy your tyres even quicker. So getting the MCL38, cradling its tyres like they're newborn babies, means McLaren are then free to add as much performance as they can afford. Stella continued by saying, "You never assume that that's good enough when it comes to keeping the tyres in the right operating window. Certainly the next one will be another interesting one from a tyre point of view, especially if in Miami we have high temperatures like we had previously. So that track becomes quite a bit rear limited, a lot of traction with low-speed corners and then acceleration." By the sounds of things, it's going to be a perfectly timed update for McLaren, and hopefully it can help them seriously challenge Ferrari and maybe even Sergio Perez. I'm sure the team would be the first to admit that they might need a bit more yet to start considering a fight with Verstappen for race wins. Nonetheless, Lando Norris says McLaren's performance at the Chinese Grand Prix provided more evidence that he can claim his maiden Formula One victory during the 2024 season. Norris is also yet to claim an F1 sprint race victory, a failure that was highlighted by his then rookie teammate Oscar Piastri, triumphing over the shortened format in Qatar last year. Lando now has 15 podiums without an F1 win, a record that no driver wants. "I said it at the beginning of the year that I think we can fight against Red Bull and we'll be able to get a win this year," Lando said. "It's not going to come easy, I don't think it'll come for a while, but right day, right time, good conditions, things which suit our car a little bit more. 100% I have the faith in the team, and I have the faith in my ability to pull it off." Those upgrades could be a big step forward toward that elusive first win for Lando, though plenty of fans did point to his mistake in Turn 1 during the Chinese sprint race as the kind of error that an F1 race winner cannot afford to make. Another team planning to bring some big upgrades in Miami is Mercedes. They've been filling their fans with hopium for 3 years now, but the Silver Arrows have never been able to understand their car, and any upgrades they bought have been a complete stab in the dark. Adrian Newey likes to say that building a new car is almost always worse than understanding and upgrading what you already have. If you understand what you have and know that it needs rebuilding from the bottom up to be improved on, then that's fine. But for 2024, Mercedes rebuilt their car from the bottom up without any idea what was wrong with the W14. They did the same thing in 2023 as well by deciding to scrap the car they started the season with after the very first qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton was heard on the team radio again in China, complaining about the car and blaming setup differences between him and George for the deficit between the two. He'll be hoping the upgrades the team brings in Miami can help him out, but Toto Wolff's description of the parts doesn't exactly inspire confidence. For Miami, we're bringing new bits, and it'll be interesting to see how they're going to perform on the car. There is a new floor as well as some reprofiled side pods on the plane to America, but it sounds like Mercedes aren't even sure if they're going to do anything. Do you think McLaren can seriously push on and challenge Red Bull this season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.